Welcome back to the Big Fish Contracting Podcast. So happy to be with you here in 2025. It's our first episode of the year. And of course, with me as always, Tanya Weltson, VP of Big Fish Contracting, is voted by the fans and all of our teammates. Congratulations, Tanya. How does it feel?
That was a real thing.
Well, how does it feel to be the voted MVP? Is it 2 years running? I
am just me.
You're
stuck with me.
You're like Rodgers in his prime, anyways.
Yeah, I mean, you might retire. I don't know.
You're not retiring.
No, I'm definitely not going to retire.
I hope Aaron Rodgers doesn't retire. I'm watching Enigma right now.
Oh, it's so
Got
good.
the first episode under our belt.
Really
I loved
good.
him, and I still love him.
Same. And I loved him more after watching that documentary.
Yeah.
So good.
But yeah, really happy to be back recording. We've had just a wonderful year.
Yeah, 2024 was exceptional, and it's great to lead into 25 coming off of such a great year.
Yeah, a year ago is when we decided to start this podcast, right?
Yes, and why don't you tell the listeners why you wanted to start the podcast?
I wanted to do a podcast because I think there's a lot of misinformation out there in the construction field, and there's a lot of good information out there to educate homeowners. And so we embarked on, as well as just allowing a platform for our current customers and potential future customers to kind of get to know us. A little bit and build trust. So that was all wrapped up in our idea, and so we embarked on it a year ago, and we've had some amazing guests. Right?
We have. It's been very entertaining. Yeah. I mean, when you first approached the idea of a podcast, a choice to do it or not do it wasn't really there. I just went, okay, this is something we're going to do now. So I didn't really question it. But in the back of my head, I was thinking, is this really going to work? What are we going to talk about? But what I realize is sometimes it's easier to listen to something than to read a bunch of stuff. So oftentimes I think with the information out there regarding roof installs or different products you can put on your home or window options and things, you can get lost in the reading and it becomes kind of daunting. You might see a blog post or, 5-page thing that you're trying to decipher information from. And I think hearing it is a great way to gather that information in a more efficient way. So I think that's been my biggest thing.
Right. You can just turn it on and drive to
get
work
your next
or the grocery store or wherever you're going and hopefully grab some helpful information regarding your home renovation project. So I didn't know going into it if we would have any listeners.
Right.
For
you and I listened to ourselves.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, and my wife didn't even listen. So
I don't think Ryan's listened.
Exactly. Boring.
Turns out.
She hears me enough.
Right.
Right. But I just felt kind of a passion to say stuff about out and put it out there in the world, and I think we've had a pretty good first year as far as listeners.
We got over 500.
I think we have over 1,000.
That's even better.
Right.
I mean, thank you for listening.
Right,
that's amazing.
which is ridiculous because that just shows that some of the information that we're putting out there has some value to people.
It does. And they get to meet the people behind Big Fish. Yeah, we're real people. And I mean, we think we're a little funny.
Going in as I reflected over the past year, like when we started and now, why don't you tell me your kind of thoughts and reflections on maybe your comfort level, or has there been any change? What have you learned about doing a podcast? Anything?
I would say the comfort level was always there. I'm not really uncomfortable with speaking or being on camera, so to speak, which is probably due to my dance background. So that I wasn't really nervous about or anything. I think it's been great just to dive into the topics deeper and then get, our sales representatives from the shingle companies and Paul with the windows, and just really, I'm learning things too.
Yeah.
Because I don't install products. So that's been super helpful. And it's kind of fun to bring in the guests and kind of see them work through, because I don't know what makes people uncomfortable, like being on a microphone or speaking out loud. Because we're all human and we all talk, and it's no different than if we were meeting people outside
without a microphone.
Without a microphone,
yes,
And so I've always approached the podcast with that, like I'm not on a performance, I'm just speaking, and but that's me. What you see is what you get, kind of.
Yeah, that's. I think that is the biggest change. I have switched to like thinking this needs to be something, as far as entertainment goes, or like more of a performance, if you will. That was like way back when, or in the beginning, to now. It's just, oh no, we're just talking like we normally talk to everybody who we interact with, regarding whatever the subject is. So whether it's a guest or a homeowner or you and I,
correct,
just chatting.
Yeah.
So we've had a lot of guests over the years. We've had a lot of topics.
And I will say, the guests that have been on here, I mean, they still will say, it was great being on the podcast.
Yeah.
I will say that everybody that's been on, it's like, that was so fun. And I'll never forget Josh. He was so nervous. Josh was so nervous to be on.
Cultured redneck.
Yes, and he still brings it up to this day. In fact, yesterday he's like, oh, I really hope I did okay on that podcast.
He was wonderful. I think from just a information side, it's not that Paul isn't entertaining, but like with Paul's window podcasts, I thought the information that he gave on windows was really helpful. It was really thorough.
Absolutely.
And Windows is there's just a lot. If you're getting Windows, there's a lot of information to navigate. Mm-hmm. And I thought he did a great job of just kind of helping to bullet point it, if you will. And these are things that you're going to want to really know.
It's like Windows 101, especially for maybe a listener that knows nothing or doesn't know where to start with that process. I think that one was super informative. I also think when we had Steve Coy on,
yep, that's what I was thinking.
The insulation, I mean, that is something that very few homeowners understand, I think, is how the ventilation in the home
Very
works.
few contractors understand that.
Yeah. So I think that one was super informative. I would say that's the most informative podcast. Yeah. The other one that was really entertaining was Heather Henry. Oh, so fun.
She was such a fun guest. She has such great
so many
energy.
Stories.
Yeah.
It's a wild, wild west out there.
Right. And Heather and I go back 20 some years. And so it was really fun to just have her on. And both of our careers have, kind of been aligned in so many ways. She's in real estate and I'm in construction, but that was really fun.
Yeah, it was. I think we had a really good variety of people on the podcast. Some were a little bit more educational, some were a little more entertaining.
We had Kelsey on her first day.
Kelsey, very first day of work.
Yeah, she's coming back.
Did the podcast.
Yeah.
We should definitely bring her back.
So looking forward into 25, we're going to continue to do the same. Mm-hmm. Try to bring value to this podcast. Have different. Probably spend a little bit more time on remodeling this year, and maybe dive a little deeper into some specific aspects or trades within remodeling: flooring, tile, bathrooms, fixtures, kitchens. Basements, additions.
I think like a permitting type, because so let's say you want to do an addition. Well, some houses you can only do a specific addition. So some, like homeowners might get an idea, I want to put this big garage up, and then turns out you can only put a 1-car garage. So even understanding, how properties actually work, how different municipalities work, what you can and cannot build, how if you can and cannot build extra things. I think that would be really good episode too.
I would like to have a local building inspector on as a guest.
Love that. And then I also want to suggest to our listeners, if there are things that you want to be informed about, definitely email us, like and share, send us questions. We'd be happy to take on any topic you want to learn more about.
One of our most listened to was actually Mark Lorenz from Certainty and talking about roofing products and warranties, and that was very informative.
Yes.
But it's just been a fun, for me personally, just been a fun adventure, you know?
Yeah, it's good that I think the hardest part about doing the podcast was making the time for the podcast. And
Yeah.
I think that's just a really strong, thing we did, because you and I are both very busy. And so to carve out the hour, to do the podcast, I mean, that does take some discipline. And I think we've been very good about that.
Yes, and obviously a lot of accolades and thank you go out to Amber.
Absolutely. We really wouldn't do it without Amber.
Salt and Light social media, but she's producing our podcast, and you're hearing this, whatever you're hearing right now, but trust me, it's been edited.
It sounds a lot better.
because there'll be many times we're like, oh, you're going to have to edit that out.
Yeah, I think the behind the scenes component is did we say that out loud?
Right.
Should we have said that out loud?
Yeah, I don't think I swore
Was
too
that
much.
appropriate? No, we didn't. No, I think we kept it very PG.
We're very PG. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, but yeah, thanks, Amber. It's been wonderful working with you. And we're just excited for another year. We have different things coming up as a company that we're excited about. We'll be at the NARI show again. Mm-hmm. We are going to be drawing on the roof giveaway here
the
soon
2024
still.
free roof.
Yep,
that's coming.
that'll be exciting. We're going to be doing some more local things, I think, as far as just a presence in the community. Just kind of wrapping up the podcast. It was a blessing. I'm so glad to be able to do it. And I really appreciate anybody who has taken the time to listen to a few minutes of us babbling about something.
Yeah, we so appreciate the listeners. That's really awesome that you're able to tune in and then keep tuning in. I love that. If you're a repeat listener, keep doing it.
And of course, we do want the opportunity. We love the opportunity to serve you. And if you have any renovations projects of any kind, we're here. We're here to help. We love the opportunity to do it. But all of our staff is really prepared to just educate and walk you through processes, and we're happy to do that whether we get the work or not. Obviously we do want the work, but there's so much value in just building these relationships and having conversations, and this coming from a perspective of doing it for 25 to 30 years. I've had so many experiences where I had interactions with a homeowner. Maybe they were selling their house, and just helped them with information. And then 5-8 years later, they call me on another house that they just happened to buy. So those types of things are really special. So keep tuning in. We're so grateful. And we'll be here all year. Bye.